Osho's stories, The Cheerful Donator. Osho responds to the question, why do I feel hesitation in enjoying anything, with a story? Joy is not allowed. You are preconditioned against joy. From the very childhood, you have been taught that if you are happy, then something is wrong. Unhappy, everything is good. If you are miserable, nobody is worried about you. But if you are too happy, everybody is worried about you. You must have done something wrong. Whenever a child is happy, the parents start looking for the cause. He must have done some mischief or something. Why is he so happy? The parents are not happy. They have a deep jealousy towards the child because he is happy. They may not be aware of it, but they are jealous. It is easy to tolerate somebody else's misery, but it is almost impossible to tolerate anybody else's happiness. I was reading an anecdote. A very religious father was bringing up his son as perfectly as possible. One day, when they were going to church, he gave the boy two coins, one a 1 rupee coin, another a 1 paise coin. He also gave him the choice that whatsoever he thought was right he could put in the donation plate in the church. He could choose the rupee or the paise. Of course, the father believed and hoped that he would put the rupee in the church plate. He had been brought up in such a way. He could be expected to, relied upon. The father waited. After church, he was very curious to know what happened. He asked the boy, What did you do? The boy admitted that he had donated the 1 paise coin and kept the rupee for himself. The father couldn't believe it. He said, Why? Why did you do this? We have always been inculcating great principles in you. The boy said, You ask why, I will tell you the reason. The priest in church talked right before. In his sermon, he said, God loved a cheerful donator. I could donate the 1 paise coin cheerfully, not the 1 rupee. God loved the cheerful giver. I am absolutely in agreement with the joy boy. Why? What you do is not the question. You are religious if you can do it cheerfully. It may be a 1 paise coin, it doesn't matter. It is immaterial because the real coin that you are giving is your cheerfulness. Faith can move mountains. Just say something and it happens. You just say to the mind, enough. Now you be the servant because you are the servant, and I say it is just that simple. A master has a quality. When you are really the master, you have become a watcher and become the master, and it is such a simple thing that you just say something and it happens. You just say to the mind, enough. Now you be the servant because you are the servant, and I say it is just that simple. You are afraid, that is why it cannot happen. You know that it will not happen, then you can say something and it will not happen. But it is not happening because you knew it would not happen, otherwise, it will happen. You have not treated the mind really as a servant. Otherwise, you simply say, sit down, or simply say, listen, and the mind listens. Vivekananda was in America. He talked one morning and he told a story and he emphasized the fact that faith can move mountains. One old woman who was worried by a mountain very much said, This is good, I never tried it. Just behind her house there was a big mountain, and because of the mountain the sun would not come to her house. Because of the mountain air would not reach. Her house became very stuffy. So she said, This is simple. Now I will go and I will have faith. She went immediately to her house. She opened the window and looked at the mountain for the last time. Because now it would disappear, there would be no chance again to see it. She closed the window, closed her eyes, and said, I have faith, now move. Thrice she said it because she thought maybe once it may not work. Then she opened the window. The mountain was still there. She started laughing and said, I already knew it was not going to happen. If you know all the way, then it will not happen because you have not fulfilled the condition. I also say that faith can move mountains, but faith, remember. A Hasad visits a rich palace. Everybody has made a palace of the ego. Everybody is too full of it. Whenever you are awake, you become a space. Because whenever you are awake, you are not filled with the ego. You are an empty space, a valley, a low ground. It rushes, it fills you. I have heard. A very rich man asked a Hasidic master to come to his palace. The palace was tremendously valuable. It was unique. It was full of valuable things, paintings, carpets, antiques, furniture of every kind and of every age. The rich man took the Hasidic master from one room to another. They moved around for hours and hours. The palace was vast. The rich man was bragging very much. He was feeling very deeply contented in his ego. When the whole palace was shown to the Hasidic master, the rich man said, Now tell me, what is your impression? The Hasidic said, The fact that the earth is strong enough to carry the burden of such a massive palace, plus you. This has impressed me tremendously, plus you. Everybody has made a palace of the ego. Everybody is too full of it. Once you become awake, ego disappears. Ego is the sleep. To feel I am is to be sleepy. Suddenly, to be without any feeling of I am is to be awake. To be without any I am is an opening. To feel I am is a closed monad like phenomena. It has no windows, no openings. You live in a cocoon, dead inside. Once you are awake, you become empty. You become a nothingness, a nobody. God rushes to you from all directions. He comes and fills you. The speaking well. You have everything that you need. God never sends anybody as a beggar into the world. Use your mind as the servant and continuously remember that the mind has to be retired one day. When the mind is retired completely, the world disappears. Then there is no coming back to the world. That is what Hindus call the stopping of the cycle of birth and death. When one is absolutely awakened, that awareness has no birth and no death, it is eternity. Use the mind, step on the mind, let it be a stepping stone. Just the order has to be changed. I will tell you one story. It happened that a man was in search, and he came upon a man on the path who said, There is a well hidden in the caves. Go there and ask a question if you sincerely ask. The well replies, It is a miracle only known to great adepts. The man searched. It was difficult to reach to the well, but somehow he reached. Leaning down in the well, he asked, What is life? No reply came. The well only echoed. He repeated his question, and the well repeated, What is life? But the man was really sincere, so he continued. It is said for 3 days, day and night, he asked again and again, What is life? And the well only resounded his own voice. But he was not tired. He continued, it, if you work with the mind for many, many days, years, the mind will not give you the key, it will simply resound you. But a sincere seeker goes on and on and on. He is not retired. After 3 days, it is said the well realized that the man was sincere and that he was not going to go. So the well said, okay, I will tell you what life is. Go to the town nearby, visit the first 3 shops, and come back and report. The man was puzzled because what type of answer was this? But okay, if the well says it has to be done, he went to the town and visited the first 3 shops. But he was even more puzzled and bewildered. There was nothing. In the first shop, there were a few people working with some metal pieces. He went into the next shop. A few other people were there and they were preparing some strings. Into the third shop he went. It was a carpenter's shop and people were working with wood. He said to himself, this is life. He went back to the well and said, what do you mean? I went there, I visited. This is my report, but I don't see the point. The well said, now I have shown you the path. You travel it. Some day you will see the point. I have indicated the way. Now you go on it. The seeker was simply angry and said, this has been a deception. What have I gained by asking this well for 3 days continuously? What have I gained by putting my heart with such sincerity before the well? This has been a deception. I have not gained anything. Frustrated, he went away. After many years of wandering, he came near a garden one day. It was a moonlight night, a full moon night, and somebody was playing a sitar. He was enchanted. The magic worked as if pulled by a magnet. He came into the garden. He didn't ask permission. He went up to the place, and the man was deep in his meditation, playing on the sitar. He sat there. He listened. In the moonlight, he looked at the man, the instrument. He had never seen that instrument before. Suddenly, he realized that those carpenters were working on things like this. They were preparing sitars, and the people who are working on metal, those pieces were also on the sitar and the strings. Suddenly, as if the clouds disappeared and there was a breakthrough, he started dancing. The musician became aware. He stopped the music, but now nobody can stop the dance of the seeker. The musician asked, what is the matter? What has happened to you? The man said, I have understood. Life has everything, just a new combination is needed. I looked into 3 shops. Everything was there, but there was no sitar. Everything was separate and order was needed. Everything was in chaos. Everything was there. Whatsoever was needed was there. Just a synthesis, just a unity was needed, and such beautiful music comes out of it. Life has everything. Now I have understood, just a new order is needed. You have everything that you need. God sends anybody as a beggar into the world. Everybody is born an emperor but lives like a beggar, not knowing how to arrange things. Mind should be the servant, consciousness should be the master, and then the instrument is ready, and then a great music is possible, and there comes a moment when the instrument is not needed at all. It is said that whenever a musician becomes perfect, he throws the sitar because then it is useless, because then the inner music has come in, the outer sitar just helps to move within words. Whenever an archer is perfect, he throws the bow. Then there is no need for it. Whenever there is perfection, it becomes unconditional. First, make the sitar of your life and then be able to retire the mind completely. Then you have gone beyond the circle of death and birth, and that's what God is. That is what this beauty story is saying to remind me so that I don't fall again and again a victim of the old pattern mind, the master, and myself, the servant, to remind me that I am the master. The disciple who walks on the water. Mastership arises only when you learn slowly to dissolve into existence, states Osho. Unless you are a really deep disciple, you will not be able to become a teacher. If your disciplehood is perfect, one day suddenly you will find the perfect master has arisen in you. It comes only out of disciplehood, but disciplehood is difficult because the ego has to be dropped. It happened. There was a master, his name was Tapobana, and Tapobana had a disciple who served him with irreproachable diligence. It was solely because of this diligence and the services he rendered that Tapobana kept him, for he found the disciple rather stupid. One day the rumor spread throughout the whole region that Tapobana's disciple had walked on water, that he had been seen crossing the river as one crosses the street. Tapobana called his disciple and questioned him. Is what people are saying about you possible? Is it really true that you crossed the river walking on the water? What could be more natural? Answered his follower. It is thanks to you, blessed one, that I walked on the water. At every step I repeated your saintly name, and that is what upheld me. And Tapobana thought to himself, if the disciple can walk on water, what can the master not do? If it is in my name that the miracle takes place, I must possess power I did not suspect and holiness of which I have not been sufficiently aware. After all, I have never tried to cross the river as if I were crossing the street, and without more ado, he ran to the river bank. Without hesitation, he set his foot on the water and with unshakable faith repeated, me, and sank. The first thing that you have to do is to learn the secrets of disciplehood, then one day the master will be born. It is on the way, but don't be in a hurry, otherwise, you will miss being a master. If you try to become a master, you will miss being a master. The mastership arises only when you learn slowly to dissolve into existence. The day you are not, you will be the master, not before it. If you are, then still some work has to be done. You cannot be the master only when you are absent. Does the master become present in you?